What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Back 40. I know, Andy, did you want to intro this? Or not?
Sure, I can. I sure can. What's up,
Well,
guys?
go ahead.
Welcome to our second official streamed episode of the Back 40 on Twitch. This is a unusual format from our usual Monday night recordings, but I'm excited about it. I know the rest of us are too.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, show.
So, what are we
I'm
talking
so
about this
sorry.
episode?
All right, so Dayton and I listen to a podcast pretty frequently, and he's actually recommended this podcast as one of our recommendations. It is called Too Scary Didn't Watch. So it's another horror-themed podcast, except in this podcast, it is three ladies, and one of them loves scary movies, and the other two, are terrified of scary movies, and they just don't watch them. So one of them watches the movie and then tells the other two about the movie so that they don't have to watch it because they're too scared. And we kind of wanted to imitate that premise just a little bit with the four of us here. It's going to be a little different because in this situation, three of us have watched this movie, and Alex has not watched the movie we're going to talk about. Except he's not terrified of scary movies. He just hasn't watched it. But we're going to do it inspired by the way that they operate their podcast. So we are going to do a movie review of the movie Barbarian. It came out 2 weeks ago. And it is it's a very up-and-coming horror movie that has received rave reviews from cinema critics and horror lovers alike. So Dayton and Nick came to Kentucky, and we all watched that together. So what we're going to do is explain and review this movie to Alex, and Alex is going to react to this movie for us.
Yep. So just so the listeners are clear, I did check with Alex before we decided to do this episode, and I asked him. I asked him about Barbarian and if he had heard about it. He's like, "Yeah, I've seen some previews of it and stuff." And I asked him if he was super excited to watch it or if he was just kind of about it. And he responded, "I'm just kind of So, just so we're clear, while Alex is a horror fan, he has agreed to let us spoil the movie for him and give our reviews of it and just give a recap of the plot and all that stuff, just so we could have a fun little episode.
Can I go first?
And maybe you can go first.
Alex,
So
the movie was awful. The movie was awful.
Sweet.
We're gonna give a non-spoiler review first.
I've already been spoiled. I hate it. I absolutely can't.
You gave him that.
Okay,
premise
that's just Nick's.
That's just one interpretation of this movie.
That's just one interpretation.
Look, I will explain why I said what I said, okay? I promise I will. In great depth. But there's not really much depth to go into.
This is going to be a really good movie to do this format with because it is bonkers. This movie is crazy.
Yeah, lots of twists and turns along the way.
For sure.
So it's like didn't see that coming. Can't believe that.
Definitely.
The whole movie is one big didn't see that coming.
I agree with that.
But I will say I feel much better about the movie than apparently Nick does. I have a positive outlook on this movie. And we will also get into why I think that the more that we go along.
Yep. So,
Andy, what's your overall opinion
of
the movie? Sorry.
Okay, so we left the theater that night.
Andy, what happened?
That's a great question.
I hate this movie.
Really did
What
not.
a cliffhanger.
Wow.
The universe
He
really
said,
did not.
so here's what happened. Gone.
Like, yeah, I hate this movie.
So, as I was saying before the universe cut me off, we watched this movie and I left the theater not enjoying what I had just spent money on. And I told Dayton, because Dayton and I rode together, and I'm like, I know this is going to sound trite coming from me because I say this often, but I don't know if I'd go pay money to watch that again. I really could honestly say I don't know if I would do that. And I left Nope feeling that way. And for those who listened to that, they said the same thing. And they're like, Andy said the same thing when he left See Nope, and he ended up loving it and talking about how great it was. Sure, I did. 2 weeks later, I still don't love it.
Can y'all hear Andy?
Say that.
Because I can't hear Andy.
You really can't hear me?
Oh my gosh. So, all right. So for everyone listening and watching, yeah, we totally went through maybe like, oh wow, okay, Dayton. We can hear that.
I'm sorry.
We totally went through like 45 minutes worth of trial and error because Discord didn't want to work while I had OBS running. And so I finally had to do just browser Discord for anyone to even hear me. No. So my audio wouldn't be choppy. And yeah, and now Alex can't hear Andy, so that's great.
I can hear Nick. I can't hear Andy. Andy, say something.
Well,
can you hear me? Hear me? Hello?
This is awesome. We are live on Twitch with this crap.
It would not be... It just wouldn't seem right. If there wasn't something going on.
It just wouldn't seem like the back 40 unless there was like 10 million problems.
What about now?
Alex, you better tell me that you can hear Andy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear Andy.
You leave and come back then.
Okay. Give me a second. I hear Dave. I hear Nick. Don't hear Nick.
Oh my god!
So this is hilarious because in our pre-check, in our mic pre-check, we played like musical chairs because I would log in and then Nick couldn't hear Dayton. So Dayton would log out and log back in, and then Dayton couldn't hear me. So I would log out and log back in, and then neither of us could hear Nick. It was just this horrible whirlwind go round. It was not fun.
Hey, Alex, can you hear Andy?
I'm about to leave and come back.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. You are such a kind gentleman for leaving and coming back. Hopefully fixing the problem. Please tell me that you can hear everyone, please.
I sense the sarcasm in that so strong, and I'm pretty sarcastic.
I can hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Thank God.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
It's fine.
We can work with that.
We're good. You don't
Okay.
have to see my ugly face anyway. It's fine.
So-
Why did this man wait forever? I'd talked for like a minute and a half, and he's like, so could no one else hear me?
I was like, I'm gonna let him get into it pretty deep here, and he can't hear anything.
So, to continue the story.
So, yes, to continue the story, like I was saying, I left the theater feeling like I didn't like it. I wouldn't spend money on it. 2 weeks later, I feel the same way. I still don't like it. I have a newfound appreciation for the film as a whole and what it was trying to do and what it ended up doing. But still not my cup of tea, I don't think.
Okay. So, do the three of us think that we are ready to get into the spoiler field? Okay, actually, Alex, do you have any questions about the movie before we get into the meat of the plot.
I mean, like about the movie, like
yeah, like any questions
I don't know
before
anything
you
about the movie.
I know, but like
That's
before
great.
before you know anything, are there any questions you have?
Oh, I guess not.
Okay. So I'll start off with a little bit of the plot. I will say that I went into this not knowing anything as well, because the previews I had seen were very vague, and I love going into a horror movie not knowing anything about it because I don't know what to expect. But I also think that can be a bad thing sometimes because you might come up with an expectation in your head without enough information to make that expectation, and then that expectation is not met. And that's kind of what happened in this movie for me. I feel better about it now. But anyway, so we open up. It is a woman. Her name is Tess, and she has booked an Airbnb because she has an interview in this town in Detroit. And she pulls up to 476 Barbarian Lane, and this is the place that she has rented as an Airbnb. And she checks her emails again, checks her text, and makes sure she has the right information. She goes up to the door, types in the passcode that she had, and the door doesn't open. So then she checks her phone again, makes sure she's typing it in right, and it doesn't open again. She somehow gets the lockbox that the key is kept in open and sees that the key is not in there. So that explains why she can't get into the door. Then she's just kind of, it's pouring rain, it's nighttime, it's dark outside. She's just kind of standing on the porch and kind of wondering what's going on. Then she sees a light come on inside the house, and she sees a guy walking around in there. And so he sees her and comes to the door, and she says, "Hey, like, what's going on? Do you own this place?" He said, No, I'm renting it. And she said, "Well, that's crazy because I had a reservation for this place as well." And he said, "Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I have it rented for this week." And she showed him her phone to show him that she had the confirmation of renting it. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you come in and we'll call these idiots. It seems like we're double booked, so we'll call them and try to get it sorted out. And she's very hesitant because, by the way, this guy is Bill Skarsgård, so Pennywise from It. And
Yep.
So he has a very creepy vibe as it is. And then he just happens to be in this house that she knows for a fact she rented. So she's kind of hesitant. She's freaked out a little bit. But he says, "Look, it's raining. You're not in the best neighborhood. It's dark. Why don't you come in and stay in here where at least it's dry and there's a lock on the door?" And she says, "Okay." She goes in. She asks him if he can show her the confirmation he got of renting that place. And he's like, yeah, sure, I understand. And she says, "Okay, while you do that, I'm going to go freshen up." And he said, okay. So she gets out from freshening up. She sits on the couch. She's calling a few different places. He says, "Hey, I'm going to make some tea. Do you want any?" And she said, "No." And he says, "Well, I'm going to make you a cup anyway." And so he does that. And then he says, "You might want to call some rooms. You might want to call some hotels, see if they have any rooms open." And she says, okay. So she calls a hotel. They said they don't have any vacancy. Hangs up from there. And she's like, crap, what am I going to do? And he said, come to think of it, there's a convention, some kind of medical convention in town this week. I don't think you're going to be able to get a room. And she says, well, crap, what am I supposed to do? He says, look, there's a couch and there's a bed. I'll take the couch. You can sleep in the bed tonight, and maybe tomorrow we can figure this out. And so she's still very hesitant. And she says, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get ready for bed. And he says, okay. So she goes into the bathroom. We see her lock the door behind her. She's just kind of looking in the mirror. She's trying to figure out, trying to get herself sorted. And you see him. He gets out 2 glasses and a bottle of wine that was there. And he is sitting at the kitchen table. And she gets out, and she sees him at the table with the bottle of wine and 2 glasses. And she said, what's going on? And he said, yeah, so I'm up now, and I don't know if I'll be able to go back to sleep. So I was going to have a glass of wine, and I thought that you might want to see me open the wine, because I completely understand I'm just some random weird dude that's in this place that you rented. I understand your reservations completely. So I thought you might want to see me open the wine just in case you wanted a glass as well, because I noticed you didn't touch your tea. She didn't drink any of the tea that he had made her. And she says, no, I'm okay. And he kind of sighs and says, okay. Well, then they get to talking, and she is interested in this kind of orchestral band. And he's like, you're never going to believe this, but I'm one of the guys in that band. And she's like, no way. And he's like, yeah. And he starts telling her the instrument he plays and all this stuff. And then she's like, so what is someone from there doing here? And he says, well, believe it or not, we have a show coming up next month in this town. And I was just kind of scoping the place out, trying to figure out if this was a good enough place for us to stay. And she says, okay. And then they get to talking. They're kind of flirting. She likes him. He likes her. He helps her make her bed. There's a really cute scene where he is folding a duvet cover, and he acts like a ghost and gets inside the duvet cover and turns it inside out from there. And they're kind of flirting, and it's a nice evening. And then he says, well, I guess I'm going to go to bed. And you get this moment where you think they're going to kiss, but then they don't. Mm-hmm. And she goes to bed. And this is, you see now that she has drank a little bit of the wine, and he has as well. So he goes to the couch, she goes to the bed, and because she's a little loosened up and she trusts him a little bit more now, she does not lock the door behind her. She closes it, but doesn't lock it. So then you see her set her alarm because she has this interview in the morning, and
she ain't making that interview.
Well, she has this interview in the morning, and she hears something in the middle of the night. It's completely dark outside. It's the middle of the night. She hears something, and it is her door opening. And you hear the creak of the door, and you see that the door's open. And she's really, really freaked out. And she looks, because the way the house was situated, from the bed that she was in, she could see the couch. And Bill Skarsgård is still on the couch, and so she is very freaked out, but she notices that he is having a bad dream, and he's gone.
Guys, this is a serious moment.
Right, okay. So she notices...
Very complicated movie.
Hey! Okay, I'm telling the story now, all right?
Okay.
Boy, we going shot for shot in this movie.
I mean, I feel like Dayton has seen this more than once.
Okay, no,
quoting some of the dialogue.
You can't say nothing after the Scream review, Andy. You can't say nothing. Anyway, this is important because this part of the movie sets up the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie goes quickly.
Does it?
Anyway, so she notices he's having a bad dream, but that he obviously isn't the one that opened her door because he's still asleep. She goes and she kind of shoves him to wake him up. And he wakes up and he's freaked out. He's like, what the heck are you doing? Because she just touched him and they're strangers, you know. And she says, did you open my door? He said, what? No, I didn't open your door. What the heck is going on? And she's like, okay, look, I'm sorry. I guess I'll go back to bed. So she goes back to bed, locks the door behind her this time. She wakes up in the morning, and then she finds a note that he has written, and it says, "Hey, going to town, grab some stuff. I'll be back later. Please leave the key in the box." So she goes to her interview, and she has a good interview. She's kind of looking at a picture that she took of his license the night before when she was just still trying to scope him out. And you see that she's kind of crushing on him. She's like infatuated with how he looks. And so she's thinking about him all day at the interview, and she has a good interview. And then
one of the important parts, like when she walks out of the house to go to her interview, and we were first shown the neighborhood at pitch dark night, and all we could see was silhouettes of the house. Well, she comes out of this house in the morning, and Alex, this place is the most rundown, horrible-looking neighborhood. It's the only house that's
it's bad.
Constructed. It's
like,
bad.
These houses are either falling apart or look like they've been burnt down. Like, it's a bad neighborhood. There's spray paint all over everything. And 476 Barbarian Lane, which is the place she is staying, is the only house in the neighborhood that looks up to snuff.
It's the only house. It's creepy.
So that's very strange. So she goes to the interview, has a good interview. The interviewer is talking to her after the interview, and it's like, "Hey, so where are you staying?" And she says, "Oh, I'm staying at 476 Barbarian Lane." And the interviewer says, "What?" And she says, "Yeah, I kind of booked the place last minute. I couldn't find anything else, but it's a pretty nice place." And she said, "No, wait, where did you say?" She said, "Barbarian Lane." She says, "Oh, Tess, you got to get out of there. You can't stay there." She's like, "No, the place is fine. I mean, neighborhood's a little run down, but the house I'm staying in is fine." And she says, "Okay, well, just be careful." And Andy, I'll let you pick up from there. Maybe you can expedite the process.
Please.
Okay, so things start kicking off a little bit. She's driving home from the interview. She gets out of the car, and we see her fumbling with her keys a little bit. And from the back shot of the camera, someone is like bolting towards her. We don't know who it is. Like full on dash sprint, 400-meter yard dash towards her, and we're like, "Holy crap, what's gonna happen?" And the man starts like shouting at her. And as he gets closer and more into view, we see he's like a homeless man. We're like, "Uh-oh, chick, get out, get out." She's like running to the door, and she's fumbling with the keys, and she gets the key out of the lockbox, and she barely gets the door open and gets it shut. And he's banging on the door, telling her to get out of the house, get out of that house. And we're like, "Oh, that was close."
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about, like, that's a butt cheek cleanser right there. You're like, "Oh, she's gonna make it." It's close. Yeah. There's times where she like fumbling with the keys and she just can't get it, and we're like, "For God's sake, Harry!" And so everything works out fine. She's taking a chill pill. She goes to the bathroom, and they're out of toilet paper, so she's looking all around the house. Just nothing. She goes to the basement area, and she finds some on a shelf, but the door shuts behind her as she's going down. And as she's going back up the stairs, she realizes it's locked, and she can't get up. She can't get out. The door, for whatever reason, it locks when it's shut from the inside. And she didn't have her phone. She left it out in her room on the charger. So she can't call for help. She's got the house key in her pocket, so Keith cannot get back into the house because she took it out of the lockbox. So she's stuck. She's down there chilling, and she's trying to find something she can like break the window with. There's a small window which would be like the very ground level of the outside of the house, but it's basement level for her. And she notices a rope coming out of the wall. She pulls it, and the like wall door opens, and she's like, "This is sick. What is this?" And she's very smart. Throughout this entire first opening, like 25, 30 minutes, we know very well that she's a smart protagonist. She locks every door that she goes behind. She does her homework. She does her research. And she does not... Somebody's got their...
Fans are coming.
I'm in the mood, bro. That's crazy.
Picture this: downtown Detroit.
It's all thematic. So, it's like pitch dark. There's no light. She gets a mirror. There's a light right above her, and she gets a mirror and like stands it up against a chair, and the light reflects off the mirror and shines down the hallway. It's brilliant. I'm like, holy crap, this is excellent. And she goes. Now this is where things get weird, because at first she's just like, oh, nope, not gonna do it, and she's just chilling on the stairs. Then I guess curiosity gets the better of her. She does go down into the hallway. She makes it all the way down, and there is a door to the left, and she opens it, and it is this very nasty, horrible room. Think of like DBD, Lorraine's Memorial Institute, one of those rooms. Very nasty. It's like tile floor, and there's a bed. It's very nasty. It's got bloodstains on it. There's a video camera and a bucket. That's what we see.
All the good stuff.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she gets really freaked out by it. She can't handle it. So she goes up there and she's banging, and she sees Keith, and he's coming and he can't get in. She's banging on the window, and they push it open. It's like a push-in kind of thing, and she gets out. Or he gives her the key and she unlocks it. And she's like, we have to get out of here. This is bad. There's a room with a camera and a bucket, and there's a hole in the wall. It's crazy. It's bad. And he's like, there's a room with a bed and a camera and a bucket. And she's like, we need to get out of here. This is for real. And there's this cool exchange between them. And he's like, listen, it's not that I don't believe you. It's just that you're not making any sense. I just didn't see it. Just let me go check it out. We'll see what happens. Just let me go check it out. And she does. She's like, okay, fine. But I'm staying up here. I'm not going down there. So he goes down there, and he is going down the steps. She's holding the door to make sure it doesn't stay shut. And she hears him, and he's like, yeah, I see it. I'm down here. And as she goes, she's like taking steps down to see if he's okay, and the door starts shutting. And then very, very, very quickly, in the nick of time, she gets the door before it shuts. She's like, nope, we're not doing this. And she puts a chair in front of it, and we're like, yes, thank you, Lord.
Refreshing to see smart people in a horror movie.
It is. So, essentially, he goes further, and after she does that, she goes a little further, and he's not responding to his name anymore. So he's venturing on further down into the basement. So that panics her, and she goes back down. And at the very end, like where there's a wall and a door, you see that back wall is actually like pushing. You can push on it, and it goes in. It's a door. It opens up, and there's a steep stairwell. And it's like an underground cavern in here. Think like man-made, dug out cavern. It's very creepy, but also very, very cool for a setting of a horror movie. It's like a subterranean tunnel, and she keeps following his screams for help. And she finds him eventually. It's like a very dark and twisty way, and she's like, oh my God, thank God I found you. He's like crawling on the floor when she finds him. It's really creepy. And throughout this entire first, let's say 45 minutes of the movie, we're not sure if we can trust Keith's character. And it's at this point right here that we're like, he's in on it. This is all a ploy. This is all bad. He's acting very crazy. He's acting very paranoid. And he's like, someone bit me. We need to go this way. And he's pointing towards the back deeper into the cave. And she's like, no, you're not making any sense. We need to go to the exit. The exit's this way. And he's like, will not let her. He's like, no, we have to go. And then all of a sudden, panics, a large, naked, deformed lady attacks the pair, and she brutally kills Keith by bashing his head into the side of the cavern wall. And what happens after that? The screen fades to black.
And then
let me just...
what?
Go ahead, Alex. Okay. Go ahead.
So these two lovely young people go down these nice steps of horror into a dark cave.
Correct so far?
Was like, oh, we're not going back to where we came from. We're going this way.
Correct.
Like this is an episode of Uncharted. So
Yeah.
then
The amount of confusion that you have in your head right now is
and then
it probably doesn't compare to to the amount we all had because we were actually in the theater watching it. Like
when you say big woman, are we talking like Amazon
oh,
woman?
we talking about larger than life, brother. Like
So
we talking about at least 7 foot tall.
yeah,
so not
At
bad.
least.
we talking like her arms are dragging the ground, bro.
We're talking about this is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman has came into this cave.
That's the
I
worst
would
looking
say
Wonder Woman I've ever seen.
I would
but-
say maybe like a 7th generation incest Wonder Woman.
I'm pulling up a picture right now.
Please do.
None. There
Please
are no
do.
pictures.
Wait, there aren't?
Yes, I'm looking.
Okay, but to answer one of your questions, yes, Keith is down there and he is telling Tess when she finds him that they have to go deeper in. And the reason he is saying that is because he keeps saying, look, Tess, there is somebody else down here with us. We cannot go back the other way. We have to go deeper so that we don't get caught by the other person. And Tess
All right,
is like,
Alex, I found
hey,
a
it
picture.
doesn't make sense.
Let's see. That'll work. It's of the actor that's playing the person getting like makeup ready.
Ooh, that's
Good.
horrifying. That's like
So-
orcish Lord of the Rings stuff.
Yeah,
Very much so, yeah.
So in a dramatic twist,
That's what I
after
pulled up.
you've just seen this man get brutally murdered, screen goes to black, and we come back to a scene of Justin Long driving in a red Corvette down the side of the road, and he's blasting tunes. The screen is bright. It's sunny outside. He's got the top off. Man is having the time of his life. And
It's like driving
while-
down Highway 1 of California.
Yes, and while we are disgusted with what we've just seen, it immediately switches to this man loving his life. And Justin Long hasn't been a part of the movie yet.
Completely new character.
Yeah, we're just introduced to him 40 minutes in.
Hey, so that's like Asian Chinese dude, Justin Long.
Justin Long, you know, he's the guy from the first Jeepers Creepers. You'll know him if you look at
He
his
was in
face.
Dodgeball,
Justin
too.
Long.
He's a
He
producer as
also
well.
listens.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He was on Good Mythical Morning the other day. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, actually, I bet he was.
Yeah. So, having the time of his life, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So having the time of his life, and he notices he's getting a phone call, and it is his agent. So we find out very quickly that he is an actor, and they say, "Hey, look, we're gonna have to suspend the pilot that you just shot." And he's like, "What? Why? What's going on?" He said, "One of the girls in the cast has made some very serious accusations, and so we're going to have to hold off on filming for a little while." And he's like, "Well, what the heck's going on?" And they're like, "We're going to have to suspend the pilot." And he said, "Well, is it me?" And they said, "Yes, she made accusations against you." And he said, "Well, what the heck did she say I did?" And they're like, "It's probably best that you just calm down. We'll call you back in a couple days, but for right now, just lay low, chill out." And he's like, "Well, what?" And he says kind of sarcastically, he said, "What'd she say I did, rape her?" And you find out there's two people on the phone call with him. One is a man, one is a woman. The woman says, "Yes, she's saying you raped her." And so he is just in total shock. He starts freaking out and going off. And he's like, she can't be saying that. Like, I'm the one that put this show together. Y'all can't just fire me. And he said, "Wait, are y'all going to fire me?" And the guy says, "Right now it seems that the best course of action for us would be to fire you, to get you off of this pilot." And so that freaks him out even more. He pulls off to the side of the road. We see him. He just looks shocked. The call ends. And then he starts making calls. The next scene we see him, he's talking to his financial advisor, kind of his accountant, if you will, the guy that manages his money. And he's like, look, man, the accusations aren't even true, but I know that I just lost a pretty big job. So how am I looking? How's my money looking? And he says, well, with all of the money you get from rent from the properties you have and your property here, and the money you saved from other shows, without having anything else coming in, what you have in your account right now can last you for 3 months. And he's like, 3 months? No, like, that can't be right. Look at it again. And the financial advisor says, I feel like this is the best time to tell you that the end of this week will be my last week as your financial advisor. And he says, what? So you're dropping me too? And so his accountant basically quit on him. So then you see him, he's in a parking garage. He's got his cap pulled down low. He's trying to look low key because he got some very serious accusations being run on him. There's a news story already out about it. He saw it on social media. And so he gets to his car, and another one of his agent calls him and says, what are you doing? And he says, well, I'm in, where did he say he was, Andy? California?
He said, hang on, I'm about to get my rental.
Hang on, I'm about to get my rental. And the guy said, rental? What are you doing with a rental? And he said, look, I just got fired from this job. I'm trying to sell some of my properties because if I don't have any money. And the guy says, no, I think it's best if you were to stay in state. These are very serious accusations, and God forbid they find you guilty. You need to be here just in case something develops. And he's like, well, no offense, but if I don't sell some of these properties, I'm broke in 3 months. So I'm not going to be coming back until I figure out what to do. And then hangs up. Then you see that one of his properties that he is going to try to fix up, that he is going to live in for a little bit, but he is eventually going to try to fix up and start renting again to make some more money, is 476 Barbarian Lane in Detroit. And so he gets in there, he sees that there are people's, Keith and Tess's stuff is still there. There's like phones, there's clothes like strewn throughout the house. And he starts calling the people that take care of the property for him, like the cleaning ladies, and he's like, so we don't clean after people leave? And she said, no, we clean before people come back. And he's like, well, how long has it been since someone's been here? You mean to tell me that's a messed up system? Why don't we clean after every person leaves? And they said, well, it just ensures that it's as clean as possible when someone does arrive. And he said, that's crazy. That's crazy. So then he's mad at the cleaning ladies, all this stuff. He finds all these other things. He sees that the basement door is propped open with a chair. He goes down into the basement. He sees that the door is open. And we get the sense that he didn't know that other part of the basement was there. And so, being ever the savvy businessman, we see him Google if you can count basement storage onto your square footage when you go to list a property. And so, he's like, awesome. So he finds something on Google that says, no, typically you don't include basement, but you can add it to the listing if you get the square footage measured. And so you see him take a tape measure into this dark room, and he goes all the way to the end of the hallway. He sees the random messed up room with the bed.
Right before that, he closes the room, but he does go out with a friend. Like a bar area, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm your bro. I'm your dude. You know, we can talk about this. I just want to know, is it true?" And he's like, unconvincingly, he's like, "She consented. We're not convinced."
We learned from this that he did rape her, because basically his explanation is, "Look, she wanted it too." And the guy's like, "Really? How'd you know that?" And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, she took some convincing, but once it got going, she was into it. And so we figure out from there, hey, this guy's kind of a sleazeball. He's
okay. Right. AJ,
definitely,
bad dude. Not someone we can root for.
So then that is when we get the scene where he's measuring the square footage. He gets into the room. He just doesn't even pay attention to the mattress and bucket and camera that's there. He just measures the ground for the square footage. He then finds the other door that goes even deeper into this dungeon of a basement. He puts the tape measure at the top of the stairs and just goes down. He gets about halfway down. He's like, ooh, so this is 12 feet. The other room was 10. So 12 times 10, that's 120. I've got an extra 120 square foot. This is awesome. And so then he goes even deeper down and he's measuring. He finds all these cages and everything else. He measures where the cages are. And then you see
it's
him.
It's like a very, very funny 2.5 minutes of him just with his tape measure just dragging it along.
We're just laughing our butt off at this guy for being this oblivious to what's going on. He's not scared of anything. Like, he's discovered this dungeon in this house that he didn't even know was there, even though it's his property. He didn't even know it was there, but he's just measuring it for square footage. So he does that.
Just move the torture rack. Hold on.
So he gets all the way down. He sees that there's this room, and he goes to see what the room is off to the right. And he notices that it's a room basically with a bunch of blankets and a couple mattresses in it. And there's a TV in there with a videotape playing, and it is an instructional video on how to breastfeed for new mothers. It's how to nurse your baby. And he's like, what the crap? What the heck is this? Then you see that his tape measurer goes limp, which means obviously something at the other end has pulled it off of where it was hung. And then he starts freaking out, and then we see the deformed granny-looking thing come and knock him out basically for a split second. Then he's being drugged down further into the hallway, and when he gets to the end of the hallway, there's this pit with a top on top of it, basically. She throws him into this pit, and when he gets down there, we see that Tess is in this pit as well. So she has survived up to this point, and we piece together from earlier that it has been 2 weeks since Tess and Keith got there. So Tess has survived down in this dungeon for 2 weeks up to this point. The next scene, the grandmother, I say grandmother,
the mother,
the deformed thing.
They call it the mother.
The mother comes and sticks a bottle down the grate.
Oh God, the bottle.
On top of
oh
this,
God,
yeah.
no, the bottle.
It had hair all over it. It was nasty. And she shoves it in AJ's face. And Tess says, "You got to drink it. You got to take it. You got to drink it." And he's like, "What? No. No." And she's like, "She thinks you're her baby. You have to drink it." He said, "No, I'm not. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to." So then the mother thing, the mother thing gets freaked out, shoves it in Tess's face. Tess willingly drinks it and acts like she enjoys it. She then tries with AJ again, and AJ doesn't take it. So then this is when me and Andy piece together. Oftentimes when mothers are nursing, you are told that if your baby does not take a bottle, to give them the breast. So
Alex, I sat in my theater seat for a solid 2 minutes. I'm like, he's not taking the bottle.
So
no, he's not taking the bottle. No, he's not taking the bottle.
This woman pulls him up out of this hole. This woman pulls this man up out of this hole and tries to force her breast in his mouth.
She takes him to the nursing room where the video's playing.
Oh my God. And he, the whole time, like I'm wanting to puke. Because
he's gagging.
He's really gagging. Yeah. Everybody in the theater's gagging. And like she's unsuccessful. Yeah. She's unsuccessful with actually getting it in his mouth.
I'd say so.
Is anybody else's mouth watering? Because and not in a good way. Not in a good way.
Right here. I came prepared.
Oh.
Anyway,
hang on just a second.
So during this commotion, Tess climbs out of the pit and she runs past the room where this is happening. and she gets all the way back up the stairs, both sets of stairs. She gets all the way back up, and she gets back into the normal basement. Measure. She steps on the tape measure, which makes a sound, so she starts sprinting because Mother heard it, and she gets back to the normal basement. She notices that the door has been before he went down, AJ kicked the chair out of the door, so it is locked now. So she goes to the window and just sheer force of will punches the window out and jumps up, gets half of her body out of the window onto the ground above, and then you see the homeless guy that was chasing her earlier comes and grabs her hands and pulls her out from the basement. And after he does that, you see Mother stick her head and her arms out of the hole. She sees the guy. She sees that it's sunlight outside, and then just kind of sinks back into the basement.
It's like, just to give you a reference here, Tess had to climb up on stuff to get out the window. Mother is standing on the ground with her head and arms hanging out the window. She's tall. She's a tall lady.
She big.
It's scary.
I might have just missed this, but Mother is the one who killed Keith, right?
Yes.
Yep. Same person. Yep.
Okay. Sure.
Got it. It's all connected.
You talking about like a woman that's got the strength of like 6 men and 10 horses.
I swear.
Like, I ain't even kidding, bro.
It's terrifying.
So then Tess starts having this conversation with the homeless guy. And the homeless guy tells her he's been in this community for 15 years. And, and he's telling her, he says, look, she comes out at night. You got to be very careful. He says you need to find somewhere safe to be before nightfall. And she starts freaking out again and says, there's somebody else down there. There's a guy down there, and he was still alive when I left, so he might still be alive. I have to go back and help him. And he's like, no, are you crazy? You can't go back and help him. You made it out. Why would you go back? And she says, I have to help him. And so you see, she goes back into the house.
Well, no, she jogs down the street.
Yeah, she jogs down the street. She flags down police officer.
He does get police officer. And granted, she looks ragged and rough. 2 weeks underground in a dirty basement. So naturally, the police don't take her seriously. They think she's just another homeless person. And it's one of the most aggravating scenes in this movie is that they do not take her seriously at all. And she's got no proof. She doesn't have a key to the house. She can't get in. She's got no phone, no proof of ID. Like it looks bad for her, but we know she's telling the truth. It's very hard to watch.
Yeah. Then she goes back into the house. AJ has gotten away from Mother. He is running. He gets to another door that's down there. And when Mother sees that AJ has reached that door, she cowers away. And right about that time, you get a flashback to the conversation the homeless guy was having with Tess. And you hear him say, look, she's not even the worst thing down there. And so then we're like, what the heck? What else is down here? So then AJ goes into this room. It looks like the worst bachelor pad you've ever seen. There's nothing but liquor bottles and water bottles and old food and a mattress and a TV. But he gets down there. He's looking around. He's kind of rummaging through stuff. And then he hears something behind him. And there is an old man. And then we get a flashback. And Andy, I'll let you talk about this part.
It's chapter 3. It's another hard cut. I mean, fade to black. Here we're in another part. And we're like, I can't take this anymore. I physically cannot do this anymore. It goes from super intense to hard cut to black. And I thought that my music playlist was whiplash, but this movie gave me extreme whiplash. It was so hard. So essentially, it's a flashback to the 1980s, and we see the house's original owner. His name's Frank. And long story short, he's icky. He's not good. He stalks and
What?
he stalks women and assaults them, and then has subsequent children with them. And it's a long line of that, and all of that creates Mother.
Yeah.
That's our through line. That's what we're learning.
That's what we learn. And then we go back to AJ, who's in this other room, and he hears the noise behind him, and we see that it is a very old, very weak, knocking on death's door version of Frank, who was the original owner of the house. And Frank can't even talk. Frank can barely move. He's laying in the bed. But Frank sees that he's there. He starts kind of looking around and staring at him like, okay, what's going on? And he starts motioning toward the table. AJ finds some water, gives it to him. And AJ says, look, man, I don't know how you survived it, but that thing is horrible. I don't know what the crap is going on, but I can tell you this. I'm going to have this entire place swarming with cops in less than 5 minutes. And so AJ perceives Frank not to be a threat. He looks at Frank as if he's another victim. Okay? And then Frank motions toward the table again, and AJ doesn't know what he's asking for. He's like, look, man, I don't know what you want. I don't understand. So AJ just picks the entire table up and sets it beside Frank. AJ then turns around. He's looking around the room again. He's like, you think you got enough liquor? And you see all these empty liquor bottles and stuff. And then AJ's attention is drawn toward this kind of entertainment center looking thing. And it's got all of these tapes on it. And these tapes are titles. And the titles on the tapes are things like Redhead from the gas station, Asian lady from the restaurant, Deaf girl, all these different things.
Very icky.
You then see Frank is rummaging through the table, and AJ pops one of the tapes in, and then you go back to another flashback of the homeless guy talking to Tess. He's basically just reinforcing what we already know from the other flashback of Frank, basically saying he's a bad dude. He does awful things. Then you go back to AJ. He has a look of shock on his face, and we don't see anything, but you hear the last part of the tape that he has just watched, and it is a female crying and screaming as if she's been hurt. AJ turns around and looks at Frank and says, "What the crap are you? What kind of person are you? What kind of sick, messed up person are you?" So we get the idea that this is basically a rape snuff tape that Frank has been making with all these women that he's assaulting. You then see that Frank finds a gun in the table, and you think that he's about to shoot AJ. So AJ is like, okay, look, man, we can talk about this. Don't shoot me. And then in a twist, Frank turns the gun towards himself, blows his brains out, shoots himself right there. So now AJ is in this room by himself, and he has a gun. So he picks up the gun. He goes back out of the room, back to where Mother was, and he has a flashlight and a gun. And this is where the through line continues. Tess is back down in the basement now looking for AJ.
Well, she was upstairs, and
she was upstairs.
Now. Mother goes out of the house, and she drives her car through the house and pins Mother against the wall. So Mother's in the car, and she's like this over the hood. And
yeah, we think she's dead.
Seemingly, that did the job.
Yeah.
So she thinks it's safe to go back down there. That's why she goes back down there for him.
Yeah. You see AJ running. You see Tess running. And then you see that Tess gets right about to where the nursing room was, because you can kind of see her now. And then you see a flashlight come from the other end of the hall. And Tess says, AJ. And as soon as she says that, you see the spark of a gunfire. AJ shoots Tess because he couldn't see who it was.
Which I do not believe. Because
scared out of his mind already. He was scared out of his mind already. He shoots Tess. He's like, oh my God, what? I'm so sorry. And then he sees that he shot her in the gut. She's having trouble. But he picks her up. They get out of the basement. Right.
Now, if you're like me, there's 3 reasons that he should not have shot her. 1, she's standing in the doorway of the nursing room, and there's a bright pink light glow coming from this room. She's in the light. You can see her. 2, this man has a flashlight, and the light's hitting her. We can see the light hitting her. And 3, she says his name. Mother wouldn't even know that.
All right, so am I supposed to be under the impression that he just wanted to kill her anyway?
That's I kind of got that impression that
I did not,
and he just shot her because the way that it was cut was very weird.
I did not, because to me, if I was in a traumatic situation and I had just seen what I had just seen and I had experienced what I had just experienced, and then you run up on me and make a sound, I'm probably going to shoot you. But there's more than one way to read every scene. So anyway, he picks her up, helps her out. They're out in the street now. They meet up with the homeless guy that was helping Tess earlier. He takes them to his little hideout. And Andy or Nick, you talk about this scene. I think Nick would probably be the best to talk about this scene because he was most affected.
So we're at like inside the cage thing with the guy, right? Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. The homeless guy's little hideout spot.
So so this one, we get to this part of the movie and you're thinking, wow, they actually did it. They got away. So they're sitting around this fire that he built or whatever. And he's sitting there, and this is where he's talking about, I guess, how everything began or where everything started, and having conversation about what this thing is. And so he gets through telling them that, lines and generations of incest over through incest and incest and incest, that this is what you get. And they asked him, so you've been here for 15 years and she's never bothered you, she's never come through this gate or something like that he's been here this long and he's never been attacked by her. And he said, I've been here for 15 years and she ain't never come through my gate. And then all of a sudden, she just rips his arm off.
She busts through the brick wall behind him.
She busts through the gate behind him and then comes straight over to him, rips this man's arm completely off and just starts beating him to death with his own arm.
This is like Mortal Kombat stuff.
And I'm sitting there thinking, what the heck just happened? I'm sitting there dying laughing because dude is back there in the corner getting the life beat out of him with his own arm that she just ripped off his body. And I'm like, in what world do you get your arm ripped off and get beat to death with it?
in this world.
So
476 Barbarian Lane.
Oh God.
So then
In the world.
So then Tess and AJ start running away while Mother is distracted, beating the dude with his own arm. They run up. You see AJ grab his gun. So we're like, okay, at least they still have a gun. They can do something. They are running away from her. Mother notices that they're running, so she starts chasing them. They go up this water tower looking thing, and about halfway up, or actually, no, they get all the way to the top, and Tess has been shot in the gut, so she's having trouble running and keeping up with AJ, but she makes it up to the top with AJ. She's kind of hunched over. She's holding her gut, and she says, "What about your gun?" And he remembers he has it in his pocket or kind of in his waistband, and he goes to grab it, and it falls, and so it's... Yeah,
you know,
so they don't have the gun anymore.
Nobody can write anything where it's just gonna end right. So so what do you think happens next? Oh, well, the gun drops down to the ground, and you know he just pushes her off the side. Tess.
So he says, Mother gets up to the top. Mother gets up to the top. Tess and AJ are up there. He's freaking out. He's saying, "We don't have the gun. There's no way we're getting. If she wants us, she's going to get us." And then you see him thinking, and Tess is like, "There's got to be another way out. There's got to be another way out. We can't just give up." And then AJ looks at her and he says, "Well, I can get out, but I'm going to have to use you as a distraction." So then he grabs her by her shirt collar and throws her off of the building.
Alex in timeout.
Bro, you telling me if this ain't me in this situation? Can't get out, but I can. So we'll see you later, Big Daddy.
Here's the thing, though.
I played chess before. I know how pawns work, and you're about to be a pawn.
Here's the thing, though. He hurls her off the side of this water tower, and as she's falling, Mother. Next thing you see is Mother jumps off the side down with her, and I'm talking like Mother's like at a full blown dive. Like pointing her hands and everything. She's fixing to hit water. You know what I mean?
Believe it or not, this was one of the weirdest parts of the movie to me because
it took me out.
AJ says, "Come get your baby," and grabs the Tess by her shirt collar, chunks her off the side of the building, and then we see Tess falling, and then it's very dramatic, like super dramatic moment in the movie. And then Mother jumps off the side, doesn't make not even a little bit of a sound. Just jumps off the side and just like...
Alex, there's no music. It is dead silent in this theater. She's just falling.
When it's
swan diving.
When it's all over with.
Swan diving.
When it's all over with. You see somehow that the mother beat her to the ground, and Tess's fall was broken by the mother because somehow the mother beat her to the ground.
And you see that Mother is laying in a pool of blood, and so we're like, okay, so she's dead, and it looks like Tess is dead too. Mm-hmm. So then AJ climbs back down the water tower and goes to meet them. He grabs his gun again, and walks up and sees them. And then Tess starts to move, and AJ shoots Tess again.
Oh my God!
Because he scared her. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though.
She scared him.
Here's the thing that I was like, no, ain't no way. So when he gets down to the ground with them and does that, he wants to act like he was like, "I'm so sorry. I had to do it." Like he was doing some kind of acting or something like that. And I'm just like, if I was her, I would have shot him. Like,
yeah. Alex, from our perspective, we saw him grab her collar and throw her, but he's like, I just grabbed you and then you started slipping and you like rolled off the water tower.
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah. So
Like-
then,
Your exact words.
Like he just put her through absolute hell. And apparently he's like not meaning any of it. Like all of it has been an accident.
So then there's a commotion between Tess and AJ. Mother wakes up. She's not dead.
Oh yeah.
She grabs AJ by his head, just picks him up by his head, puts her thumbs in his eyeballs, puts his eyes out. He's screaming bloody murder. Then she just rips his skull apart with her bare hands.
Yep.
Like Captain America, Age of Ultron, and he just takes the chunk of wood.
Yep.
And just, it's that exact same thing.
AJ's gone. AJ's dead.
He dead. But Tess is alive. After being shot twice and thrown off of a building, Tess is somehow still alive. So
Just go get her, man.
All by accident.
Tess is laying on the ground. She's holding her gut. Mother comes up to her, trying to be a mother. Mother comes up to her, trying to be a mother, and she's going to pick her up, and she's wanting to take her back down so she can take care of her, because she's just trying to be a mother to her. And Tess knows that she has to act like her baby for it to work out. And so Tess says, "No, I can't go back down. I'm hurt." And Mother tries to lift her up again, and Tess kind of winces and grabs her gut, and she says, I can't move. And then you see that Tess has the gun.
I'm out.
Okay.
I see where this is going to go. I was going to say, go ahead. Does she kill Tess?
No.
Hold on. So
Because,
then
you know,
she's...
about our misery kind of deal?
No.
No, she's just wanting to be a mother to her. She's honestly just trying to help her.
Listen to this
because
bull crap.
She feels like this is her baby.
She takes her like 16-inch long finger and is like,
yeah, she's like comforting her. She's like rubbing her face. Yeah.
This is like the female sloth. This is like the female sloth.
Yeah. And then Tess says, "No, I can't go back down." We see that Tess has the gun. And I was actually kind of sad in this moment because the thing is just trying to be her mother. But Tess had to survive. So Tess puts the gun straight up to her cheek, blows her brains out. End of movie. That's it. Tess gets up, walks off.
roll credits. That's literally
And I have never had a thank God moment so much in my life.
Oh, Alex, closing credit song.
That's how the movie ended.
Yep.
That's how the movie ended. Blew brains out, got up, walked off.
Be my little baby.
Be my baby. No.
Be my darling.
No, it's be my baby. Be my baby. Yeah.
That's literally the closing credits song. And Tess, and the closing credits just show Tess getting up and walking down the street.
She just walked off.
It's at this point that we all look at each other and we're like,
The first words out of my mouth, I looked at Andy and I said, screw this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Like,
What did I just
movie-
watch?
Dude, let's put this in perspective, okay? Let's say I studied for months for a test. And that's what this movie is about. Me passing this test. Like blowing friends off. I can't hang with you. I gotta do some studying, man. You know, I gotta get this done. And then the climax is me taking this test. And at the end, right before the results post, boom, roll credits. It was like,
you know,
what did it pass? What's happening?
It is the most complete yet incomplete version of this story that we could have gotten.
I'm gonna tell you
you
something.
want to know the best part? The trailer sets this up as the whole premise is about Tess and Keith double renting this house and there's a basement underneath. That's the whole premise of this movie. That's how they set this up in the trailer.
Bro, now that I know the movie, I kind of want to watch the movie now.
No.
I won't watch it
The
again.
absolute craziest thing.
Don't go waste your money, Alex. Don't.
I would watch it again.
Have you been back to watch it again?
I haven't.
Well, there's probably a reason for that.
Count me out. I don't think so.
The reason for that is not having the time to do that, and I went and watched Pearl.
I could not imagine being in this pit in this old freakish looking woman.
Look,
thing, and this hairy bottle.
Whoa.
This other lady's like, "Hey man, you gotta drink that." I'm like, what are you doing here? I ain't drinking this bottle. She's like, "You need to drink that bottle."
Look, I really want.
She's like, bottle, and she's like, take it, and he's like, no, and she's like, okay.
I really want to be there for if and when Alex watches this movie, because I want to get it on film, his facial expression at the end of this movie. I
want
really
to see how he reacts to the bottle scene, just how the bottle looks.
Yeah, that sounds hot.
Oh, dude, I want to see his face as soon as it rolls credits, because I guarantee it's probably gonna be like.
Bro, you'd be like
just in Alex form, just in all its glory, just.
It's just gonna be like. The movie cut off.
The cherry on top.
I'm talking like
thing is the credits roll. It's dead silent in our theater, and then Dayton says, "This movie," and then he says, "Every person who walks out is like, congrats, you made it, you survived it. Congrats, every person that walks by, congrats, you made it, you survived this movie."
How long is this movie?
It's like an hour and a half. No, not
hour
even.
and a half of my life.
It feels like 4-hour movie.
That's what I would have said. As soon as it ended,
it feels like a 4-hour movie.
My life, I will never get back.
I so want to see his face, though.
It's an hour and 43 minutes, so longer than an hour and a half.
Bro, that's ridiculous. To end like that, some people need to be shot. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't good.
It wasn't. Alex, have we convinced you? Have we convinced you to watch this movie?
No.
Honestly, just think how stupid and crazy it is. Yeah, I definitely want to see all that. No. But I want to see this girl Tess's reaction when he's like, "I ain't drinking that." He's like, "Bro, you gotta drink this bottle."
She's so deadpan.
Drink it, Big Daddy.
Great face. Like, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. And she's like, she thinks you're her baby. Drink it.
She thinks you're her baby. You have to drink it.
She's sitting there like, "You fit to learn today."
Oh my god.
The craziest part is when he doesn't take it, and she opens it, and she grabs him by like his shirt. Just, whoa! His man gets ripped from this hole. It's like, I tried to tell him, and it makes me wonder. This movie makes me wonder, how many times did it take for her to get the memo? She's been out there for 2 weeks. How many times did it take for her to get the memo?
Lots of questions.
Ooh.
Unanswered
questions.
Yeah.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Her reaction is like, "Bro, you gonna drink that bottle?" Drink it. Everything just good. Drink that bottle.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. If I was an actor in this movie, for that scene, I would have been like, I can't put my mouth to that with that hair on it. I'm sorry, I just can't do it.
Well, you about to put something else with hair on in your mouth.
No, no. Not with that long, dirty, greasy looking, nasty hair hanging off of it. Oh, God.
So, Alex, if you're going to watch this, wait till it comes out on a streaming service that you have so you don't pay money.
So you don't
or you can
waste
wait until
your
we come
money.
down to see you, and we can all watch it together.
That works out fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, the more you forget about this movie, the better it's going to be when you watch it. I can admit that watching this without knowing anything about it was the best choice because it definitely blew me away. I don't know if I liked it, but it blew me away.
Bro, I'm just not even in a good place with you all explaining this whole movie to me. Like, I can't imagine going into this theater paying $13 and then $5 for a slushie, about $20, $18, period, and then me just being like, at the end of it, you know?
And for you to have this face,
everybody else looks the same way I do. Just
for you to have this face at the very end, you're just.
Yeah, just like what does what?
Bro, we went to eat after we watched this. We went to Applebee's and we all got like all you can eat boneless wings, and not a single one of us got a refill. Probably because we were so disgusted.
I tell you what, I would have got a nice ice cold glass of milk, boy. I tell you what.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, all right.
Can't do
All
this
right.
anymore.
Andy, do you have a recommendation for us?
You should have been like, I hated it.
Yes, I do have a recommendation. You all. I do have a recommendation. So, one of our good friends that was an employee at Bethel when we were all there. Her name's Katie McGill. She actually has a podcast out right now. It's about self-love, self-care. It's mainly geared towards women, but I think that men can still find enjoyment in listening to it because they're hilarious. It's with Katie and Lindsay. It's called the Fatbulous Podcast. Fat, Fatbulous, Fatbulous Podcast. They are so funny. If you like anything that we do here, I think you'll love their podcast. It's like the female version of this. So, Dayton's listened to a few episodes. I've listened to a few. It's a good time. It really is. I think it'd be fun to like do stuff with them in the future, but they're great. Give them all the love you can. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Fabulous Pod. They're incredible. It's a great show.
For sure.
I need to hire me someone to hand me Sonic off camera like that. That was professional.
That was my personal assistant.
That worked for me.
Heck yeah.
Well, all right. This has been actually Nick needs to do this so it doesn't fall apart.
Yep. We can't do it right.
I know it. So this has been.
Guess when Alex is going to outro himself.
Well, this has been a movie review of the movie Barbarian. Okay.
I'm sorry.
You'll burn.
Well,
you will burn.
On behalf of the Back 40, I am Nick.
Cut it here.
I'm Andy.
I am Dayton.
And I'm Alex.
And we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.
Holla.
Hey, later. Be good people.
What's up, guys? Nick here from the Back 40 Podcast. Don't forget to go follow us on our Facebook page, the Back 40 Podcast, and give us a follow on our Instagram page at the Back 40 Official. We also have a YouTube channel called the Back 40 Podcast. Subscribe and hit that bell so that you get notified when a new episode gets uploaded. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Back 40.